Hello my friends, how's it going today? I have no idea how I'm going to title this video, whether it'll be some joke clickbait title. I haven't even really thought this through yet. I just have a bunch of ideas I wanted to go through, and one of the main points I would like to make is how YouTube has completely gone to shit. Now, a lot of people have said this, and you know, like anything, it's what you make it. YouTube is nothing more than a platform to share ideas. Today it's become a place to sell merchandise. And I guess what it kind of inspired me was all of these grown men acting like 10-year-old children. Now, who am I to say that another person should spend their time on YouTube doing anything? You know, if a person wants to make a channel where they're making slime for every single video and making millions of dollars off of screaming and fast editing and jump cuts, so be it. That's their business. But I have young kids, so once in a while my kids come across these videos, and of course they get, you know, very into them. And it's up to me as a parent to let them know that, no, it's not reality that you're going to have toys sent to your house so you can just, you know, have free shit for the rest of your life. But let me kind of back up and define where I'm at here and where I'm coming from. The channels I'm talking about, you're well aware of. They jump in with some screaming. It seems like they always have to scream. And then there's this like, subscribe, at least 20 times during the video. Followed by a variety of ads, or maybe they'll spend 5 whole minutes trying to, you know, with some paid placement ad or a promoter. And then a BS 5-minute intro about how you've just got to subscribe and like. You know, there's a certain classification of video. These are kids' videos, obviously. It's unfortunate that grown-ass men act this way. And I understand entertainment. I also understand how, you know, the industry works. But I also understand that I grew up during the 80s at a time when all we could think of was, you know, wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to watch commercials? And when the internet came around, we thought, well, now we have a place where we can actually share our ideas without having to watch ads. And the advertising agencies found a way around that by just paying people to put, you know, product placement, just like Reese's Pieces in E.T. It's nothing new, it's just business. And I understand that. But most of the videos I'm talking about really have no content. I mean, these are just grown adults getting a bunch of free shit sent to them, and it comes down to these fake-ass families who go on all these wild vacations, and then these other kids see this and they think, oh, why can't I have that life? There's the spoiled kids, where the kids just get... I've seen a kid jump into a swimming pool full of candy bars and gumballs, like a actual giant, you know, kids pool full of these things. And all I can think of is, are you really going to eat this after you've been laying in it, or are you just going to dump it in the garbage? You know, how wasteful. In today's world, you know, we're trying to curb a lot of waste, but we see tons of it for the sake of entertainment. But then we get the review channels. Oh yes, they want to review every product. Maybe they want to give you makeup tutorials. And sure, if you find something that works, you go for it. We've got the not just the makeup tutorials, but we have the top 10 videos, or the worst of all, the reaction videos, where it's just some douchebag sitting there recording himself, watching some other douchebag's video and reacting to it. Now, one of the ones that is almost the worst is the fake fights. The whole... for example, the only one I could think of is the whole Logan Paul KSI, you know, argument where they pretend like they're fighting online and that they're going to fight to get more and more views. The controversies bring more views. So let's move past that and say, so be it. If these channels choose to, you know, promote garbage material, then that's their choice. YouTube decided that they are going to side with larger creators and the ones with the most revenue and the ones with the most ads. And that was YouTube's choice. Now they will deny this, of course, but the algorithms that they use for suggested videos have become quite apparent to me. And I would say a couple of years ago, they actually suggested good videos. If I was listening to a particular Grateful Dead song, it would suggest another one that maybe I hadn't heard yet. But now the entire selection and playlist for anything I watch is always the same thing. Recommended for you. And it's one I've already watched. But it's one with ads, whatever it might be. So, what am I getting at here? And what's my point? I'm not just here to complain about shitty YouTubers. and almost feel kind of bad even saying that because it's other people's business. It's what they do. But let me just say, when I first started this channel, I was sitting here in this room making a video, in my very earliest videos, talking about, I believe I posted it the other day, a link to it, because I found this. It was called What is the Meaning of Life Part 1. And it was just some of my thoughts. I didn't intend to make money off of my YouTube channel. I never intended to get a lot of views. It was a place for me to share my thoughts. As the years carried on, 7 years later now, come full circle, and I'm sitting in the same room, in the same area, with a completely different mindset, but some of the same ideas. And the people who've come along with me on the journey, we have all, I think, benefited from sharing information with each other. So, over the years I've collected and compiled hundreds of papers of just notes for ideas for videos. Some of them I never even use. Some of them I do. I've made contacts and connections with subscribers that just mean so much to me. I was going to share a bunch of these things, like this little drawing somebody's kids made for me, and a letter from a subscriber and customer that I wanted to read. It says, "Your videos and online store has changed my life for the better. I appreciate everything that you stand for, and I've learned that there is a special place for all of us in this world. And whether you know it or not, you've helped me find that place in myself, so thank you." That meant the world to me. Hearing that I've helped anyone in any way, shape, or form it's a great thing. But it's not what I'm here to do. I mean, I'm not a guru. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm giving ideas. And I've basically just started out talking. I've been through philosophy. I tried an education channel. Didn't work out. I tried my cannabis channel. Lost interest in it. I tried my schoolie channel for my school bus. And I thought, nah, how long am I going to be interested in posting videos like this? I tried new intros and outros. I tried using a green screen, which I still will because it's fun to do. But that was more for gaining experience in video. But here I am, back to the basics, still talking to the camera. And so I figured I've earned the clout to talk shit about those YouTubers. To give you an example, I mean, if you're not aware, there's this one channel called Colin's Key. It's the only one I'm going to mention because it's the only one that popped into my head. It's just these two pretty boys that just make slime all day long. That's all they do. And they scream, and they're loud, and they're annoying, and they're pretty much I don't know. Here's what happened. YouTube decided that they're going to only punish creators if they're smaller creators. So, in other words, if you're somebody like Logan Paul and you post a video of a dead body, you won't get your channel deleted. They won't even deal with it until they have to. So, what they've shown is that if you're willing to advertise, be loud, and sell shallow garbage, then they're more than willing to have you on there. My thing about YouTube is this. I'm not a YouTuber. And I don't want to be defined as a YouTuber. I'm a human being who shares my ideas using YouTube as a platform. So let me give you a different example. I worked in, doing air duct cleaning with my father-in-law. And we would go do these home shows, the home and garden shows at the convention center. So we would rent a booth, and we would go down there and sell our product or our service. Now, it doesn't make me a convention centerist, right? I'm just taking what I do into an organized area where other people with businesses are and sharing my stuff. If the convention center fails to advertise properly and profits go down, well, we leave, right? Go to a different place. YouTube has become kind of a main hub for a lot of us, and we've dedicated a lot of time into our channels and effort. And honestly, it's almost not worth any of the effort. And that's why I haven't put too much time into big, long, edited videos, because really people don't want to hear it just seems like you have to be shallow to get by. And nobody really wants to hear philosophy or ideas about life. And I've learned a lot about people. I've learned about the types of people who watch certain videos, how they shape who we are, how our ideas shape who we are. And one thing I've found, this is a big thing, a main key that I've learned and why I think a lot of channels are successful. Some people tell you what you want to hear, and people don't like mysteries. So, if I were to conclude one of my videos with an absolute statement of, so, this is the way things are, there would be some people who would agree with that, and some people who would disagree. Gradually, the people who agreed would stick around, and the people who disagreed would leave. But if you leave an open question, it makes people uncomfortable. If you're to make a 10-minute video and then in the end say, well, we don't really know. All we can do is just try to learn. People aren't interested in that. We don't like mysteries. We like solving them, which means that we make assumptions about each other, about life, about the world, and it's because we're insecure in our own beliefs. And those of us who are most insecure in our own beliefs have the most problem with other people. In other words, this is something I've noticed time in and time out. Those who are positing or claiming the most bold statements without proof are usually, the burden of proof lies on them, so they distance themselves. This happens in religion, this happens in certain circles and movements. The whole idea of the social justice warrior and the alt-right and how people are thrown into these categories. And when you talk about a certain subject, you get labeled and you get thrown into these categories. And so being biased pays. It sounds, I guess it's pretty obvious, really, when you think about it, but this is why the fairness doctrine in the 1980s was eliminated. Fairness doctrine allowed, basically forced media companies, anybody who had newspapers, television mostly, that they had to give equal airtime to opposing views. And when, in the Reagan era, they eliminated the fairness doctrine, it basically said, look, media companies said, no, our freedom of speech is more important than this fairness doctrine, and so they won, and they overturned it in the courts. And this is when news started to split into liberal and conservative, or, left and right, red and blue, whatever you want to call it. And I have a point to this. It's kind of what we've realized is that's what makes money, and that's what people want to hear, because people are very divided, and they will support their viewpoint. So the fear of the unknown, the fear of life, it leads to confusion, and we flock to these cults of personality or cult of ideas. And this is why we get these guys like, for example, Alex Jones, a complete mumbling moron who basically says anything he feels like saying, but he gets people upset. He fills that anger void where people want to be able to blame somebody for their problems. And often this is, one of the biggest issues we face is there's nobody to blame for some of our problems, no individual. It's just the way the world is. And looking at things rationally just doesn't seem to be a strong point for people. Now, there's a very small group of people in society who do care about these things. I'm not going to say small, I don't know the size, but I have always tried to stick with what I think to be important. Rather, what I feel is right and true. I'm not going to come up here and put on some shtick or an act or a fake voice or try to fool you with some fucking character personality. I hate that shit. I really do. But after watching TV, as long as, in the internet, as long as I have growing up and seeing so many different people using this method of not being yourself, being a fake ass fool, it sells. And so a lot of us get stuck in saying, I refuse to sell out. I refuse to be someone else in order to get ahead, or lying, or clickbaiting, or, And does that make me the fool? Or does that make me, wise in that way? Perhaps it makes me the fool because right now I'm broke. And if I wanted to sell out and make a channel dedicated to top 10 videos or review the greatest, latest products, it could probably grow and it would probably make money. And it would be right within the terms of what YouTube wants. Sell shit, make us money, make us money. But what do you do with that? What do you do with that as a human being? In other words, if I was playing a character, that can only go so far. Let's say some people talk about certain topics, a specific topic, and when that topic's not hot anymore, or it's not popular, all of a sudden it's time to move on to something else. You notice I really don't talk about modern events or what's going on at the moment very often because I feel like that's clickbaity. I feel like, last night I wanted to make a video talking about the issues going on in Iran, and I thought, no, I'm just going to wait a bit, kind of think it through. And usually when I think about political things or things that, frustrate me or that I think people need to know, often I'll just let it go because it's something I learned about at the moment. While my mind's fresh, I'm processing it, and then I let it go. But greatest teachers let the student decide what is of value. Okay? And a lot of people want to tell you what is of value. And honestly, I like to observe other people and see what's important to them, and then say, well, what is this person's demeanor? You know, in other words, if half society finds one thing important, the other half finds something else important, I will look at the personalities of the people. Not in society, but take a group of 10 people where half disagree with some premise, and I'll ask myself, well, how do I know which is correct? And you have to use your own sense. In other words, we have to learn about the world in order to make a proper assessment and judgment about what we're hearing. And people are failing to do that. They're failing to actually look into things and understand why things are the way they are, and they're just expecting others to tell them. So there was this time when people said, well, I don't trust the TV anymore, so I'm going to go to these truther channels where they're going to tell me exactly what's going on in the world because, well, they don't have anything to lie about or any reason to lie. And then you say, well, how much money are they making on ad revenue? You know, like Alex Jones, for example, he's selling his male, some type of, male vitality pills or something. It's just a joke. You get this fat loser sitting there behind a microphone ranting, and you're thinking, God, if that's what the pills make you do, But I'm not going to pick at anybody individually here. I've done enough tearing into guys like Alex Jones in the past. He got his 15 minutes of fame. It comes and it goes. Just like Jordan Peterson or any of these other fly-by-night kind of pop into the mainstream all of a sudden and, sell a few products and a few ideas and just move on, and that's fine. Maybe there's a little bit of... some people may say, well, perhaps it's just jealousy, that people get jealous that others do well with their YouTube channels. So in other words, somebody might take my entire video here as just a complaint about how I'm not making as much as others. But as I've already clarified, if I really wanted to sell out, I know how to do that. It's just a matter of not wanting to do that, and that makes it difficult. We want facts in life, and they don't exist in the form we desire. So it's very difficult to talk about things that are important and get people's attention. If you want to get people's attention, you have to scream into the camera and find something to complain about. Or else something that's really exciting. Or else people have to know the top 10 travel destinations, whatever it might be. So, yeah, the algorithms are bad. Everything about YouTube has gone downhill. I was never a YouTuber, but I'm glad that I've saved a lot of my videos, or at least most of them, on my hard drive, so I can upload them to a new platform if that ever comes. But would it be worth it? Sure, there's Steam It and a variety of other places, but what's the point? People want a home where they can upload their ideas and do something with it, and at least have the same potential as the other creators. I think that all of us should have equal footing on YouTube as all the guys talking about slime or filling swimming pools with gumballs or swimming in jello or whatever it might be. I get it. They're attracting the attention of kids, and kids are a major viewer of YouTube, but it doesn't have to be that way. It just is that way. So, what's my point? I don't really have one. I just wanted to talk about how I feel about YouTube. Sometimes I've considered just walking away from the whole thing, just stop making videos altogether. But I don't do it for revenue. I do it because I enjoy it. It's part of my counseling, my personal, counseling. So I think one of the only thing I could think of that would be a kind of an interesting test would be kind of a call out to all the YouTubers who make claims and do a lot of, jump cuts and crazily edited videos as if they're knowledgeable on a subject. And do a live philosophy challenge or a live knowledge challenge where you have a bunch of YouTubers, kind of in a chat saying, okay, well, what, how do you feel about this? In other words, getting a real feel for how people actually are. Because I don't think in the 7 years and the 4,000 something videos I've made, I don't think I've ever done a jump cut. Ever. I've never cut out a section of a video, even once. Unless I had to leave the room once, and I think I did edit out like a minute while I was gone with the kids. But is that something to brag about? Yeah, it is. Because it means that I stand behind everything I say. And I try to be a humble human. I'm not saying what I say is important, but it is to me. And so, therefore, I feel like I should stand up for it. And so I'm not angry. I'm not frustrated. I'm not here to say YouTube should change. I'm sure as hell not here telling the YouTubers who are making $1 million a year jumping into those gumballs and swimming pools that they should change. I mean, I can imagine it's hard to walk away from that kind of wealth. But I'm glad that I'm where I'm at. And I'm glad that I've stuck with what I believe to be true and fair. Because I don't want to lie to people, or BS people, or clickbait people. And I thought that the internet would bring a new age of understanding and discovery. And I think we're getting there. It's just that we have to wade through the bullshit to get there. So, as always, for the viewers of my channel who have supported me through the years, I appreciate it more than you could ever imagine, immensely. But I also understand why my channel hasn't grown, as it could. And there was a time when people said, hey, if you do more editing in your videos, if you do more editing, you could probably get a lot of subscribers. And then the next comment would be, dude, don't edit your videos. I love it the way it is. And this kind of is the point, because everybody has their own interests. And a lot of people have left YouTube as people who are subscribers, just watch channels, because they said there's so much junk out there. And that sucks for the few of us who are left kind of hiding in the cracks there that are, pretty much unknown. Because every once in a while I find a channel that's 3, 4, 5 years old that I've never seen, that has quite a few subscribers and is pretty much just like mine. The things I talk about, or subjects of interest, philosophy, thoughts on life, just a person talking. I think, why isn't YouTube suggesting these? Well, because there's no ads on them. There's no revenue to be made off of these. So it's sad that the algorithm doesn't actually give us stuff that we could benefit from. It's kind of a human issue, as we're seeing this image of what YouTube looks like from the outside. But when you really dissect it, you see that there are, thousands of smaller channels that are that have a regular subscriber. They're building slowly. And honestly, somebody asked me the other day, well, what are you going to do for 20,000 subscribers? And I've been thinking about that. I'm like, I don't know. It's not even that many. To a lot of people, that seems like a lot. But after 7 years, a lot of these channels are probably not even used channels anymore. So I've watched channels that just started a year ago just surpass me, and I've watched them. A lot of these channels mold themselves. I've started watching a few channels over the last few years that I've watched that are just fantastic. Like this one guy who did astronomy and talked about space and whatnot, and then all of a sudden he did one video exposing flat earth bullshit, and he got tons of views. So like every video for the last 6-8 months has been about flat earthers or debunking flat earthers. In other words, he went from producing actual valuable content to teach people to being a debunker in order to get views because it's in the controversy. And I guess it's hard to turn that down, but at a point you can't be real anymore. There's only so much you can do. So as long as I stick to being real, and being myself, then as I change, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I can just change my attitude as I change, and I have grown a lot, changed a lot over the years in my own way. So I guess that's about it. This is a long video, talking more or less about myself, but YouTube was once a wonderful place to share stuff, and it still can be, but if you want to be a YouTuber and you want to do it for money, then you're in the wrong place unless you want to sell out. But if you're more than willing to sell out and to scream into the camera and turn your channel into some Hollywood wannabe shit, then I guess that's where it is. I mean, the entire suggested list now is nothing but late night with Colbert or any of these mainstream outlets, and it's become so obvious it's almost just depressing. So maybe spending 25 minutes talking shit about YouTube may sound like a waste of time to some people, but when you've made thousands of videos, what's another 20 minutes, It makes you feel better just to kind of get it out there. And I really didn't want to call out all the shitty YouTubers, but I just have to. I can't help it. I mean, this shit is garbage. These channels I just can't even, if I click on them, the minute the guy's like, in the camera, or something turns on automatically, it's like, dude, turn this shit off. This is garbage. I won't even go up to the makeup tutorials because basically everybody's just trying to sell you something. And if you can find one of those really popular channels that isn't trying to sell you something, let me know. I'd be surprised. And maybe that's just the way the world is. But, god damn it, I've been marketed to my whole life. I don't need to do it listening to some guy talk about life. So I'll talk to you all later. Have a good one. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back. Peace.